Thanks for joining us on 6 Plus. I'm Lindsay Lutman. Here's what's in the news now. We have new details about a Coppers Cove nursing home. More families are coming forward accusing Coppers Cove Nursing and Rehab of neglect after seeing our coverage. 6 News reporter Sydney Deshawn spoke with a Central Texas daughter who lost her father this year.
He had dementia, but his liver, his kidneys, his heart, everything else worked. He was strong.
This is 78-year-old Jerry Koss back in March when he was staying at a Harker Heights nursing home.
Are you okay, Dad?
There were several problems, one being new medication that his daughter, Amber Sepulvedo, believes made his health decline.
He was a zombie.
That's why Sepulvedo brought him home, but she realized she needed help. She found Coppers Cove Nursing and Rehab. They had a memory care unit.
We were going to do like a 30-day rehab and then see if he could build up the strength enough to come home.
Her father was faced with more problems.
I didn't think that bad stuff was going on until a week after my dad was there. He had to go back to the hospital for dehydration.
Toward the end of his time, she got a phone call saying he fell out of his wheelchair in the dining room.
He was sundowning. That's the worst possible time to leave a patient alone.
It left him in the hospital with a brain bleed.
There was just nothing that they could do for him, so he unfortunately passed away.
A hole that can't be replaced.
I mean, that's all me and my brother had. Growing up, my mom died when he was 7, I was 10, and so losing my dad was a big part of our family, a huge part of our family, just gone.
Our coverage last week led her to speak up.
Yeah, it just kind of lit a fire in me. Our elderly deserve better.
She wants change inside nursing homes, and she'll continue to be her dad's voice.
It's not fair for me to just sit back knowing what my dad went through and not say something.
Reporting for 6 News.
Texas Health and Human Services confirmed they're still investigating the facility. We know the facility has been penalized by the state. They've also declined to do an interview or give a statement. As for the Harker Heights facility, they sent 6 News a statement saying they were under new management from back in May and they would not comment on patient care before that time. Well, Salado is mourning the loss of an elementary school teacher after she died in a car accident. Kimberly Kosh Ruiz was 49 years old and a teacher at Thomas Arnold Elementary. She and her 9-year-old son were in the vehicle together during the time of the crash. They were taken to Baylor Scott and White Hospital, where Ruiz died and her son continues to fight in the ICU. For 5 years, Ruiz taught at the elementary school. Salado ISD brought in counselors from the high school and middle school to care for the younger students. Texas DPS said the crash is still an active investigation. Well, there's new technology making the ride to school a bit safer. It's already being used in select cities and could be seen in Texas in the future. And as Jesse Kirsch shows us, what it's been able to capture so far is shocking.
The videos are absolutely shocking. Again and again, children almost getting hit by cars, with drivers illegally passing stopped school buses. This one in South Florida especially scary. Watch this student crossing the street as a driver just keeps going. The student thankfully reacting in time.
Does it surprise you, or is it what you expected?
No, I was shocked.
Lieutenant Jorge Luis Montero helps run the Miami-Dade Police Department's traffic team. The department says in the past, his officers would have to witness these kinds of violations in person in order to issue a ticket.
I can't have every officer follow 1,000 school buses to catch every violator.
But now, police have a powerful new set of eyes on the road thanks to Bus Patrol, a company using artificial intelligence in school districts from Pittsburgh to Providence to catch drivers in the act.
Here's how it works. Every time the bus makes a stop, its cameras are rolling. And Bus Patrol's artificial intelligence is watching along. So if a passing driver breaks the rules, they're caught on camera and reported to police.
He could have stopped. 2, 3, 4, 5.
Officers review video footage confirming violations.
This person will be receiving a citation.
Before teaming up with Bus Patrol, Miami-Dade PD issued fewer than 3 tickets a month for drivers passing school buses. Now, it's more than 40,000. We hopped on a school bus to see for ourselves how fast they can pile up.
Every vehicle has to stop.
This was our first simulated stop.
They're all in violation. It's happening that quickly. It's happening that quickly.
Sandra Martinez, a Miami-Dade school bus driver for more than 20 years, says she sees this every day.
Those 60 seconds you're going to stop, you can save a child's life. So, that's what precious cargo.
Since 2000, more than 50 people have died in crashes involving drivers illegally passing stopped school buses. Almost half of those killed were pedestrians aged 18 or younger. The Miami-Dade program is only several months in, but Bus Patrol says its longer-term statistics are promising.
Over 90% of folks who get one violation in the mail never break the law again.
In Texas, you can be fined more than $1,000 for trying to pass by a stopped school bus. But remember, if the school bus lights are flashing and the stop sign is out, that means kids' lives are on the line. Unless there's a raised median in the road, both directions of traffic have to stop. Well, more Central Texas school districts are saying no to cell phones in the classroom. Just last night, the Belton ISD Board of Trustees voted to revise the district's policy. Students will have limited access to phones during the school day, specifically during instructional class period. This goes into effect in January of next year. Districts like Temple and Killeen ISD have already put limitations in place. Superintendent Dr. Bobby Ott says while it's a bold move, this year they have seen changes with high schoolers acting better, showing up to class, and doing well academically.
We had the data pulled. Last year, October 25th, to this year, October 25th, we've seen a decrease in student discipline referrals of over 1,000. That's not incremental, that's substantial. Our attendance rate has increased by 1.5% from last year to this year at this time. That is substantial when you're talking 2,300 students. Our failure rate has decreased substantially from last year to this year.
Pouch decision was a bold move, but they've seen more students eating lunch. Cafeterias are noisier because students are actually talking to each other, and teachers are seeing more engagement in the classroom as well. The Killeen City Council is pushing for better city council meeting protocols. This comes as the city council meetings have had what's described as disruptions and indecorum from some attendees. Before the council could even get to the agenda item this week, after 2 warnings from Mayor Debbie Nash King, 2 people were kicked out of the council chambers and asked to leave the premises. One that was kicked out was former council member Melissa Brown. Here's what she had to say during public comment.
The protocol should allow for citizens to address the council in some manner at meetings outside of what you think is important, because it's not just about you. You represent us. Also, again, point of order is for the body and not for the citizens, and it is not the job of a council member to determine what's on the agenda when a citizen is speaking.
And this discussion item is not to change our protocol, not even to update our protocol. I just think that this is the correct format to get debate over to our residents, that we do have police officers here. They will protect you at all costs. You do not have to be afraid to attend.
Said they had heard from citizens wondering about when rights were infringed, and they want to find a way to address the ongoing situation at the council meetings. The Texas legislature is keeping a death row inmate alive, and Attorney General Ken Paxton isn't happy about it. After failing to get the courts to move forward with the execution, Paxton turned to social media to air his grievances. Reporter Kevin Reese has the details.
Attorney General Ken Paxton took the unusual move of posting an entire autopsy report on social media. The autopsy that brought Robert Roberson the death penalty in 2003 for the death of his 2-year-old daughter, Nikki. Beating her so brutally that she ultimately died, the Attorney General wrote that Roberson was lawfully sentenced to death, and that a few legislators have grossly interfered with the justice system by disregarding the separation of powers outlined in the state constitution. They have created a constitutional crisis on behalf of a man who beat his 2-year-old daughter to death.
I would say things have taken a very dark turn.
On Thursday, Gretchen Sween and Roberson's legal team issued a rebuttal of their own, accusing the Attorney General of at least 12 misrepresentations of the facts. saying that the state of Texas persistently refuses to acknowledge the truth in this case, that the state's crime theory is untethered to science and not even to the trial record. The 2-year-old Nikki died of severe viral and bacterial pneumonia that progressed to sepsis and then septic shock.
But to see things resurface 20 years later that were so outrageous in their deception back in the day that they were not even put before a jury, now being thrown into a statement by the highest law enforcement officer in the state, this is shocking to me.
Tonight, Robert Roberson remains on death row in Livingston, Texas. Members of the Criminal Jurisprudence Committee still planning to interview him in person. Negotiations continue over how, when, and where that might happen, as the debate rages on modern social media over what he did or did not do 22 years ago. In Dallas, I'm Kevin Reese.
Roberson won't be executed until he appears at a Texas House committee hearing. That's as long as the Texas Supreme Court upholds the committee's subpoena. Both Paxton and Governor Greg Abbott are pressuring the court to move forward with the execution. The Food and Drug Administration has honed in on a possible source of the E. coli outbreak traced to McDonald's. Investigators are focusing on Taylor Farms as the source of the slivered onions on the McDonald's hamburgers as the likely source of contamination. A spokesperson for the FDA confirmed to NBC News that Taylor Farms is part of the investigation and added, quote, "We're looking at all possible sources." U.S. Foods, a distributor, sent a notice to customers that it will recall 4 raw onion products because of potential contamination and was doing so out of an abundance of caution. The outbreak has been linked to at least 49 illnesses, 10 hospitalizations, and 1 death. The DOJ is warning Elon Musk that his PAC's $1 million giveaway in battleground states could be illegal. Musk has been giving $1 million to a random registered voter every day since the start of early voting. The contest is open to people in swing states, and they have to sign Musk's PAC petition to enter. The Justice Department sent a letter to the PAC warning that the giveaway might violate election law, including a ban on people paying other people to register to vote. Last week, Musk appeared several times in Pennsylvania to encourage last-minute voter registration. It's unclear when the DOJ letter went out or what further action, if any, the Justice Department might take.
You don't even have to vote.
The Department of Transportation has fined American Airlines $50 million for its alleged treatment of passengers with disabilities. According to the DOT, between 2019 and 2023, the airline, quote, provided unsafe and undignified physical assistance to passengers on a number of occasions that at times resulted in injuries. The fine is 25 times larger than any other fine by the department for disability-related violations. Thousands of wheelchairs were damaged by the airline during that span. American Airlines said in a statement, this year alone, it's invested $175 million in service, infrastructure, and training for its workers to improve how they service disabled travelers. A Walmart driver is crossing the 3 million mile mark without a single accident or driving blemish. Walmart honored his hard work today by rolling out the red carpet for him. 6 News reporter Cindy DeShawn attended that ceremony and tells us more.
3 million miles don't happen overnight.
Meet Al Pringle, who isn't your typical driver.
When you think about 3 million miles safe, think about the folks that actually drive 3 million miles in their lifetime, right? He's done it safe behind the wheel of an 18-wheeler, right? Coming home safe to his family each week, coming safe to us each week.
Pringle is an OTR driver with Walmart, spending weeks on the road at a time. He's driven 3 million miles with a perfect driving record.
That truck's not going to do anything that I'm not going to allow it to do because I'm behind the wheel of it.
Pringle started his trucking journey back in 1985.
I've been in a lot of close calls, especially in the bad weather. Sliding around in ice in the mountains in Colorado.
He's been with Walmart for almost 25 years and in Texas for 3.
When I came to Texas with no snow and ice and no mountains over here, it was, just a piece of cake.
On Thursday, his family, employees, and Texas DPS all came out to celebrate his hard work.
We're all very excited and proud that he's making this, history for him.
We even bought him a star, so he'll have a star that's named after him. Consolation, that's after him because it's a star for a star.
It's people like Pringle who make our community safer.
Everything he does, when he stops, he checks his entire equipment out. When he picks up each trailer, he checks the entire trailer. When he's out on the road, he's got to be a defensive driver.
Pringle says it's all because he loves what he does.
I'm going to remember this the rest of my life.
Reporting for 6 News, I'm Sydney Deshawn.
And depending on when you are streaming this on 6 Plus, that actually happened on Thursday. Meanwhile, some safe driving tips we can all learn from. A trucker with a perfect record can include avoiding distractions. DPS says cell phones are a major cause for accidents, and also practice defensive driving. Make sure you keep a safe distance from other cars and avoid driving in an 18-wheeler's blind spot. Up next, Chief Meteorologist Matt Farrell has your weather. Thanks for watching In the News Now. I'm Lindsay Lippman.
Well, hello everyone. Let's go ahead and take a look at your weather for In the News Now. This week what we're going to do is we're going to take a look back at the work week that was. We're going to take a look at where we are for the month of October so far, and then we're going to take a look ahead to the upcoming work week and what Halloween could hold for us here in Central Texas. So we start off by taking a look back at the Monday through Friday portion of the week. Each day brought above average temps in the 80s and 90s. That's right, it's been a very warm month, and this week was no exception. Wednesday, as a matter of fact, saw another new high temperature record. I say another, you'll see why in just a second. And then, of course, the worst part about all of it, we do need the rain, but we got exactly no rain over the course of October 21st through the 25th. So where does that leave us for October of 2024? Well, as you take a look at this map, it's a lot of red. 23 days above average, mostly in the 80s and 90s, though we did have a couple of 100s on there. And each of these yellow bars that you see, the 13th, the 15th, and Wednesday, the 23rd there, each of those was a new high temperature record for those dates. So for the 13th, you see 104, for the 15th, 100, and then just on Wednesday, we set a new high temperature record with 90, which was a pretty common trend through the second half of the week. They're 90 degrees through Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Here are those records. A little more detail here. 104 on the 13th. That beat 96 set back in 1991. That 100 on the 15th. That beat 95 set just a couple of years ago in 2022. And then there's Wednesday. We hit 90. Just barely broke the record, only by 1 degree. But yes, it was a third record broken for October of 2024. Now, we talk a lot about rain because we need it definitely here in Texas as we head through the fall. And unfortunately, October is our second wettest month. And you can see from this map, we've had exactly 1 day over the course of October where we've seen any rain. That was back on the 17th, and even that was not measurable rain, just a trace of rain there on the 17th. And again, that leaves us the full 4.41 inches shy for the month of October. So that, of course, has not been an ideal situation. As a matter of fact, it is the second driest year on record. We've only had 1 year where we didn't receive any rain. That was 1952. And then for 2024, we effectively have not received any rain. A trace just basically means that the ground was wet for a second. It is not measurable rainfall. So again, we're not going to get to number 1, but we are pretty solidly at number 2. And we hope we can change that as we start to head into the upcoming work week, because we are looking at a couple of potential changes. But before we get to that, let's take a look at your drought monitor. These, of course, are always updated on Thursday, so this comes from Thursday. You can see severe drought starting to creep into parts of the Brazos Valley and the southern areas of central Texas, but moderate drought in effect for basically all of central Texas at this point. So we absolutely need the rain. When could we see it? Well, it's going to be towards the back half of the week. As we start off the work week, high pressure, though diminishing, will still be in charge of our weather, and that means dry and warm to start the week. But here comes our next upper-level trough system. As it starts to move from west to east, we see Wednesday it starts to set up shop across parts of West Texas. And as that happens, that could bring us a chance for some wet weather and the potential for at least a small drop in those temperatures. Put this back in motion. We're actually going to be under the influence of this trough as we head through Halloween as well and into the weekend. So could we have a cooler and wetter Halloween? Absolutely, it is entirely possible. I know the timing for the kiddos not perfect because that could impact trick-or-treat plans, but hey, at this point, we're not going to complain too much because we absolutely need the rain. So here's a look at what your next 5 days will hold. 89 for your Monday, 88 for Tuesday, 87 Wednesday, and then there come those rain chances. You can see here, they're not great rain chances, 20%, 30%, so it'll be isolated, it'll be scattered, spotty at best, but we do have those chances Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and they will last into the weekend as well. So again, some changes upcoming for the work week that will be very welcome compared to what we've seen the last couple of weeks here across Central Texas. And that's a look at your weather for In the News Now.